Today, I'm joined by Nikita Tu-Bryant, a multidisciplinary artist whose work moves between music, film, acting, and performance, and that's just to name a few. From fronting the psychedelic pop band Kita to headlining World of WearableArt and working on a 4-part film, Nikita's practice is expansive and constantly evolving. In our conversation, we'll get into code switching, creative ambition, and what it really takes to build a sustainable life in the arts without losing yourself along the way. Nikita, hi. Welcome to our studio. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Kia ora, André. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, lovely to see you. I thought to start, Nikita, you move between so many different artistic worlds: film, music, performance, acting. What does it take to code switch between those practices, and how do you shift gears between them without burning out?
So I think it depends. If I have to code switch within one day, I have to physically code switch. So whether it's I'm doing work in this room or I'm doing work in that room, and each room would represent a different particular project. Sometimes it's more physical, where I will go for a swim or I will go for a surf. I've kind of now figured out my creative process in a day is that my admin brain happens first thing in the morning. So usually I'll do a bit of movement and then I'll go into admin world. And then by 2 or 3, my admin brain, like my logistical brain, just shuts off. So I basically stop responding to any of those things and go into like, okay, I can now play my guitar for like couple of hours, or okay, I can think about creating this world for this project. But that's what it looks like in a day basis. And how do I not burn out? I'm still figuring that one out.
Aren't we all?
In all honesty, yeah.
Our core question today, Nikita, is how do you balance ambition with also care for yourself? Especially when, as an artist, the pressure to keep producing never really stops. What's your response to that?
I have really strong connotations with both the word ambition and pressure. For me, I don't know if it's ambition. It's a lot of excitement to just make all the time. And in terms of the word pressure, the feeling I get from that word is there's expectation from other people, but I never really feel like there's expectation from other people. But I do feel like there's a lot of expectation for myself, not in the sense that if I'm not making, I'm not an artist, but more that I have so many ideas and I want to do all of them. And if I really like an idea, I'm already actualizing it, like it's already in motion. And sometimes I get scared when I get a new idea that I really like, because I'm like, how am I going to fit this in? Because now that I've fallen in love with this idea, I have to execute. So I would say, yeah, I'm not sure if ambition's the right word for me, but just excitement, and it kind of won't go away sometimes.
That's a good thing though, right?
I don't know, because it does lead to burnout. So, and the next part of your question was self-care, right? I have been known to take summers off touring, disappearing to a surf location and learning how to make coffee and just doing 7:30 till 2:30 and only thinking about that one thing and not allowing myself to do any creative projects, just to give myself like a rest. And I mean, at the end of that particular trip, I did end up putting on a big show and lots of people came, and that was really lovely. But you can feel like you've refilled and replenished your well, but actually you've just topped up your reserves. And so you top it up a little bit and you're like, oh, cool, I'm good to go again. But you immediately deplete everything, right? And so now when I'm slightly more filled up, I'm like, no, you're not ready to jump fully in yet. What does maintaining rest look like? It's not just saying yes to everything because you have that free moment in your calendar, but actually kind of having foresight to be like, oh, actually I come back straight from tour, I probably need a couple of days just to sleep, just basic stuff like that.
What about because you work at scale a lot as well, Nikita, like
Yeah.
from headlining WOW to your big film project as well. Given that, how do you decide where exactly to place your creative energy and where to hold back?
When I'm doing those big scale projects, I have to put everything else to rest. For example, when I'm acting in film, everything else doesn't exist because sometimes it's a 10 to 12 hour day on set, and then you're just so knackered, and by the time you get home you're learning lines for the next day. So I think when the big worlds happen, you just have to be absorbed into them, and everything just has to kind of wait. You kind of just want to be in a world sometimes, as opposed to 50 tabs open at the same time, which is kind of how most of us are operating at the moment. And it's not sustainable. And I'm constantly trying to find out, like, I kind of hate this word, but I'm starting to warm to it out of necessity. But systems, like, if creatively I'm up here and that's where I want to be creatively, the system is the Po that's like tethering me and allowing me to do that, so if I'm the balloon, I still need to be tied down, otherwise I'm just like
the string.
Exactly.
Has your understanding of success changed as your career has grown, and particularly in terms of sustainability rather than just momentum?
I don't think my idea of success has ever been about like fame and fortune. When I was quite young, I got a New Zealand on-air grant maybe when I was like 14 or 15, and I wrote a song, and then they kind of like produced it and turned it into like a pop hit, and it felt like it was a lot of like shaping you to look a certain way, but they turned a really mournful song about my parents fighting into like this epic pop hit, and I was like, this doesn't compute, and I remember kind of saying no to that because it didn't feel like music I would listen to. And funnily enough, like now I feel like my taste in music is more eclectic, and pop is like, I quite enjoy pop now, but back then I really enjoyed really broody music and rock music, and it just didn't speak to me. And so I think I've always felt like success is being able to like tell stories honestly, but also to people that are there to listen, and also that people engage with the story, right? I've been incredibly lucky in terms of the financial, because when I first started doing this, I was mostly focused on music. And then because of Miranda Harcourt telling me that I should act on screen, I kind of started doing film work. And so when one was ebbing, the other was flowing. And I remember feeling incredibly lucky because a lot of my musician friends didn't have that luxury. But I guess, as we all know, the last year has been incredibly difficult for the arts. It's been the quietest year I've experienced living in Aotearoa as a full-time artist. And it's definitely made me like consider like moving overseas and stuff like that.
Do you think, Nikita, artists are still encouraged enough by the world, I suppose, to think about longevity? Or are we still sold a myth of constant intensity and sacrifice?
I feel like there's so much awareness now with mental health and well-being, etc., etc. Also a lot more like homogenizing of ideas from different cultures, like, Eastern philosophies of being way more holistic with how you look after yourself. So right now, I feel like there's probably way more awareness of not just being the romanticized, tortured artist. I definitely feel like when I was younger, I was very broody and we had quite a rough childhood. So I think that just kind of was necessary to like exit my body, and there was definitely romanticization of like being the sad, tortured artist. I think I got rid of that pretty quick though, when I moved to Wellington when I was 18, and I was like, man, I don't want to be depressed my whole life. Like,
fair enough.
I want to laugh. I don't want to always just be writing about drama and pain, or when everything is fine, create drama in order to create. There's plenty of drama in the world. There's plenty of trauma. There's plenty of war. There's plenty of bad shit going on that we could be giving voice to without creating our own. So I disagree with wanting to be the tortured artist. I think if anything, I'm constantly trying to steer away from what I would call, that's the yin energy, the yin energy, the chaos.
Yes.
I think there's plenty of chaos inside without me creating more. Like, come on now. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Is there a place where you feel most yourself, Nikita, as an artist? Like, whether that's on stage or the screen or in the studio or maybe somewhere else?
I think this goes hand in hand with, you know how we can have different faces depending on what group of friends we're around, or depending on whether or not we're with family or we're with colleagues, etc., etc. I think since I was maybe 21, I've really worked towards not having different masks. And so I do feel quite comfortable just showing up as I am. If it's like presenting me as me in a particular art form, I would probably say music, because I don't feel like I'm playing a character when I'm playing music, but I'm playing characters when I'm acting on screen.
Yeah, of course.
And then there's a comfortability, like, there's like a fitness involved when you're touring a lot on the road, and okay, you've got to be here for sound check, this is going to take like maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then what is that going to look like, and then you get this kind of tour fitness, and then you go on stage, and you know how to like manage your expectations, like the day after having a really great gig, not to expect another great gig the night after, because treat everyone like it's its own beast. I remember in 2024, before and after WOW, I think I was a lead in 3 short films, and I just felt so fit for screen. Like I knew how all of it was working, and I felt really comfortable. I knew my creative process and how I learned my lines, etc., etc. Even though I was playing a character, the fitness of that felt really, really good as well. But yeah, I think that's a similar philosophy of like one of my best buds, Ed, who plays with me in our band Kita. I feel like he's also an amazing artist. I feel like he's really, really great at just always being him, no matter where he is. And culturally, that's the complete opposite to how I was brought up. It's all about men's. It's all about saving face. It's all about how you present, but behind closed doors, nobody needs to know. And I think I've always just kind of rebelled against that. And it saves you energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have this saying, I might have said this to you the other day, André, like when I'm really tired and I feel low on social energy, I will go to my friends' houses that allow me just to nap in the corner.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's such an amazing, beautiful thing.
Yeah, just to be like, okay, I want to see you guys. I'm so knackered. I'm just going to nap in the corner.
And I just exist there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you don't feel like you have to arrive in a certain kind of state, it's so much easier. It just saves so much energy.
And liberating as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it's also a vulnerability thing with your friends, right?
Yeah. And it's like, can't we all just admit sometimes that we are exhausted?
I think everyone's
aren't we?
Yeah.
Can I ask, Nikita, what does a sustainable creative life actually look like to you now? Not just in theory, but also in practice?
If I want to talk about specifically my relationship with art, I grew up with a lot of discipline, and what I've learnt about my relationship with making is that you can be disciplined and arrive every day. You can be fit, you can practice, you can be really careful with your diet. And what I mean by that is like when I was making my film, I was quite obsessed. And so anything I read, anything I watched, anything I listened to had to feed directly back in to the project. Conversations I was having, like I would constantly be relating it in my head to how it could be a part of the narrative. But that's quite obsessive. And so if my relationship to art constantly looks like this, there's loyalty, discipline, time, but there's no adventure and no play. That's exactly the same to your relationship with your romantic partner or your friends or your family. You can show up, you can give them time, you can be loyal, you can be a loyal partner, you can do all these things, but if you're not bringing in fresh ideas like, let's go do this that we've never done before, or let's, like bringing in fresh energy, that is still going to be detrimental to that relationship and your relationship with making.
Looking ahead a bit more, Nikita, how do you want your art to evolve in a way that supports you rather than just asks more and more and more of you?
Like ultimately, it's what is the kind of life that I want to lead. I want to feel, I guess, safe in my ability to continue telling stories. And if I zoom out, which I hate doing, but I have to, if I zoom out, what that looks like is telling stories to more people that are interested, and therefore making this kind of conversation between maker and receiver sustainable over a long period of time. And I guess that has looked like, well, I've been doing this for a long time and this has been a particularly hard year. Does that mean going overseas would be helpful because there's more people over there? Or perhaps maybe I haven't found my people here, the people that my stories connect to. My want, which I had pre-COVID, was I was doing what I do as an artist full-time, but then once a year I'd go overseas and be able to kind of flex that with different collaborators, whether it's in Asia or New York, and then bring that energy back here to also feed the ecosystem that is in Aotearoa. I would love to be able to do that again. I'd also love to feel safety in people's belief in the power of story. Like we saw it during lockdown, when the morale goes down, people turn to story because it's the thing that can inspire, can change perspectives, can make you think of the other side of the story and bring very, very different worlds closer together with common ground. So I think I would love to feel safe. That might be obviously there's a sustainability on like a financial level. I would love, you see what they're doing in Ireland, where they're like supporting artists, and I was like,
the basic income.
I was like, when are they gonna do that in Aotearoa? Like,
it is overdue.
Yeah, and I was like, that would be so beautiful, not just for me, but for my fellow artists, for emerging artists, because art is a powerful thing. So maybe something like that.
I think finally, Nikita, you've brought in an object from your creative life to share with us today. Can you tell us what it is and what's the story behind it?
This is
a sheath.
It's a sheath. Inside is a knife.
Wow.
So I'll show you the knife soon. I've been actually doing a lot of like paid house sits.
Yes.
And I've been treating them each as like little individual art residencies. It's worked quite well. But often when I go into a home, sometimes I don't have a very sharp knife. But anyway, this one is a reminder of why I love telling stories. I was sitting at a cafe and I just had my acoustic guitar and I was having a play outside, and this lady walks up to me and she's pushing a pram. She's like, "Oh, can me and my baby sit with you?" And I said, "Of course." She sits down and I'm just playing along. She kind of shared a lot of her life story. Her and her partner had gone through quite like a turbulent time in Australia. They decided to move back to Aotearoa and like live the good life, live off the land, be very resourceful. Didn't think they could get pregnant, got pregnant, quite a bit older, etc., etc. Anyway, shared a lot of story just through this one little exchange. And then she said, "My husband writes lyrics as well."
Oh, wow.
"Can I show you some?" I said, "Yeah, of course." So she showed me some lyrics and they were really, really well written, but they were very, very personal.
Oh.
And so I said, would your husband be okay with me reading these lyrics? This is a very personal story about like child abuse and alcoholism and sexual abuse, and it's a very, very honest bunch of lyrics. And she's like, actually, we've been looking for someone to put these lyrics to music.
Oh, wow.
He hasn't been able to do it. Would you like to give it a go? And I was like, well, that's quite like a responsibility,
Yeah.
A complete stranger, very personal story. And I was like, okay, I'll sit with these for a little while. I sat with them for like 3 months.
Well, yeah.
I was like, this is...
Where do you begin?
Yeah, exactly. And then one day, when I was living in Lower Bay, I came up with the song, and I had a video camera set up, and I was sitting in my living room. And I was like, kia ora Lee, I'm Nikita. Thanks for trusting me with your lyrics. This is what I've written.
Oh, wow.
So then I played him the song, and it's called Speak the Unspoken. I uploaded it as a unlisted video on YouTube so that they could see the video, and they responded, and they were like in tears, and they were really happy. Basically, the story is like, we need to talk about our issues in order to heal. But this is coming from a rural man living, like in rural New Zealand, with a lot of these subjects that exist very much in Aotearoa that are left unspoken because that is the culture. And I was just really impressed by him and really inspired by him. And there was never any talk about money or anything like that. I was just like, okay, well, that was a serendipitous kind of moment. Let's see, And she said, look, I don't have any money to pay you, but I'm going to send you something. I'm going to make you something.
Oh, wow.
So she's incredibly resourceful, Mandy. Yeah, she basically saw some shelves sitting in someone's paddock and then reshaped the handle.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
it's all native.
From the wood.
From the wood.
Oh, my God. And she made this
this knife. But honestly, the reason why I wanted to share this is because even though I've been on from big scale to very little scale, like this has still been one of my favorite exchanges as an artist. And it's a very humble exchange, but it's still one of my favorites. Yeah.
That's amazing, Nikita.
And she's been telling me, share the song. We want people to, feel like they can speak up to move on. So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today, Nikita.
Thanks for having me, André.
It's been so nice chatting. Rather than constantly chasing momentum, Nikita reminds us it's equally important to know how to spread your energy across a life that includes art, work, and rest. I'm André Chomko, and this was Articulate. Thanks for joining me for another conversation at the intersection of creativity and culture.